Yo, what's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. Sunday fun day. You guys know the vibes, man. Let's get it. Let's go to Orlando. Sherman, Agent, Kyle, Jaden, Pascal, Coolio, Sean, Kama, what's good, man? Monty, Daniel, Chrissy. Reese, what's good, man? Reese has been absolutely killing it, bro. Love to see it. EJ flipping. Ela, Randy, Tasha, Blue Collar, what's good, man? Brianna, how you doing tonight? Bettina, KC, what's good, everybody? Hopefully everybody had a great weekend. First and foremost, David, what's good, brother? Alexis, you ain't gonna catch me tonight. Sean, Swing King, what's good, man? Dylan, Kano, let's go, man. Running short on time tonight, so we're gonna speed run, and we're gonna get this thing crack-a-lacking, man. You wanna know some funny shit? I got that Whoop thing or whatever that she wears like an Apple Watch. My day was stress-free till the market opened. It's pretty fucking funny if you ask me. Pretty fucking funny. From 7 o'clock this morning till fucking 6 p.m. my day was stress-free as soon as I entered a trade. And I don't even think it's like intentional. I'm not stressed, but I guess my body, I don't know. I'm just used to it, I guess. What's good, everybody? Happy Sunday. First and foremost, hope everybody had a great weekend. Let's get it. I might have to do a little digging on a Brianna. Fuck around, find out some fine shit. Sitting in the chat now, come on. You already got Alexis. Huh? Alright, y'all. As always, we're gonna start off with the economic calendar. Let's do the damn thing. Where are we at here? Here we are, going into Monday, November 17th. It's midway through November. How many of you guys have failed the triple N so far? I ain't gonna lie, I lasted probably a good hour in November. I don't know why, bro. I have been doing good for so long. It's a challenge to myself how quick I could get it over with. Yeah, I'm a see it to believe it type of person, so I'm gonna leave that there. Anyway, November 17th, nothing of importance here. Just a bunch of bullshit trickled around. Tuesday, nothing crazy here. A couple Fed speakers, nothing important. Wednesday, we do have an important data release here, which is at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, being FOMC minutes. Thursday, we have November 20th. We have PMI, which is at 8:30. And then we have existing home sales, which at 10 a.m. Friday, pretty interesting day here. We have PMI at 9:45, along with consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. So if you want to be realistic here, it's a very chill week, right? Very chill week. Nothing too extravagant. Friday's a pretty interesting day with PMI, consumer sentiment. Thursday, PMI, existing home sales. Wednesday, obviously, we have FOMC minutes. Not FOMC, minutes. Turbo. Fuck off. Yeah, so it's not a crazy week, right? It's not a crazy week. Monday's chill, Tuesday's chill. Every day is pretty much chill. It's nothing crazy. But the real craziness is actually on the charts. And that's the ATR, that's the volatility, and how we've been moving. Very, very wonky action. And let's get straight into it, man. We got a lot to cover. All right, so first things first here, we have a monthly inside bar. This is important for two reasons, right? November, it doesn't really mean much at the moment. But going into December, it's going to mean a lot because we can look for obviously that break of the previous month's low being obviously below this low, and then we can look for that 3-bar play above that previous high. So December, in my opinion, is where we're likely to see a big move. Could we see a big move in November? Absolutely. But I think, it would make sense to close this an inside bar. I mean, this is the first red candle in 8 months, right? So, I mean, could we go higher from here? Absolutely. Have we seen it previously? Yes, we have, right? We've seen a 1-candle pullback on countless occasions. We've seen a 2-candle pullback on countless occasions. And here we are, right? So you could easily say, right, this is a weekly bull flag. And I would say you're not wrong, right? We've been that bullish, right? We have, right? We've been that bullish to where all we need is a little inside bar in the next week. We're in all-time highs. So we know we're that bullish, right? The question is, it's getting to a point, it's not a matter of when, or if, it's just a matter of when, right? So it's definitely a little tricky going into this week. But when the ATR is elevated, like it is, there's always value. Yes, NVIDIA does have earnings. I was going to get into that in a moment, but everybody's talking about it. We have NVIDIA Wednesday after close. That's definitely a major catalyst for the market. We also have a couple other nice names here, being Target, Webull, Walmart, Palo Alto's a fun one to trade. I mean, even Lowe's sometimes, right? But the star of the show this week is definitely going to be NVIDIA here for sure. So definitely keep an eye out for NVIDIA this week. And yeah, man, this is the daily chart on NQ. This is kind of what I really want to hyper focus on here because look at the chart. We have that higher low, and the latest higher low was here. We made a new low, held that higher low, swept that previous higher low last week, made a new higher low, which was that double bottom, and now we got this little double bottom here, right? This is tricky. What's stopping us from doing something like this? Nothing. What's stopping us from doing something like this? Nothing. So that's why I say tomorrow really is going to be tricky, right? Because if you look at this chart for face value, we have a high, lower high, lower high, lower high, low, 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 and a new low. So technically speaking, we are in a downtrend. But what concerns me the most is that sweep from last week's session, right? This is the number one thing I look for in terms of a reversal. And we're also in a macro uptrend. So would you consider this bullish? I mean, yeah, you have to. There's no other way to consider it, right? We just got a new higher low here on the hourly after that macro demand test. So I would consider this, bullish, right? That's the only way to consider it bullish, right? I mean, that's it. I mean, even right now, if you want to be technical, you could probably go long, right? If I'm being very honest with you, like why we're sitting on this live right now, you could probably go long, right? We got the pullback. I already took a trade today and got stopped, so I'm just going to wait till tomorrow. But that was the best setup. Swept that previous low, made a new low, reclaimed it. That was your long entry. Or you could have waited for that higher low, or you could just simply go long right now, right? You could go long right now with the stop loss below 25,200, and you could probably get a squeeze into these highs, potentially even higher, which is what I'm about to talk about right now. So my game plan is, right, obviously we know this is a big demand. Obviously we know this is a big supply. Just for perspective, that's $1,200 move from top to bottom. This is a 300-point move in this range. So the ATR is very wide, and that equals value for us as day traders. So what could we do, right? I do want to focus on 25,000. I do want to focus on 25,300, and I definitely want to focus on 25,500. So what I want to watch here is a pullback and hold. That's an opportunity. Pull back and fail. That's an opportunity for lower. This is a lot, guys, so pay attention. Above 25,300. We could probably get 25,500. That's the main watch for a rejection off that 25,500. We're in the middle, right? Top of the supply, bottom of the demand. We're smack dead in the middle. So if you want to be honest here, this is not an ideal spot to trade in, right? Because we're still between them, beneath that major supply, but we're still above that major demand, and we're kind of just finding our way here. Context: demand held, higher low. So I would say higher short term before maybe lower, But it's really hard to say, right? It's really hard to say. The market has been very resilient. I would say focus on the big levels. 25,500, 25,800, 24,600, and then 25,000, right? Those are your big levels you want to prioritize. If you're trying to take a trade right now, like I said, the best trade you could take right now is just going long with the stop below 25,200. ES, same scenario, right? This chart is ultra bullish, right? There's nothing else we could say about that. But we are starting to get a little weekly setup here that I do think can present opportunity. We have obviously that outside bar followed by an inside bar, and we're trading within those two bars, right? So again, this is not a chart that screams value at the moment. We have a double bottom here on the daily, but we're still trading beneath that lower high. So now we kind of have this big question mark. Are we going to get a lower high and go lower? Or is this going to be that higher low for higher, right? That's the big question mark here. We're still below that lower high. We're still above that daily higher low. What happens here, right? That's the big question mark. And again, the range is so wide, there's going to be value. You just have to kind of be patient, right? But yes, I would honestly say the levels here are very clean, right? One, top focus is 6,800. Two is this major level down here at 6,670. Tonight, watch it pop back into 6,800. Failure, fade. That's your A+ short setup, okay? Just like that. Scenario number two is we break and hold above 6,800. You could probably get some action back into 6,850, major supply being 6,900. That is the line in the sand for either a rejection or that move back into 7,000 plus for all-time highs. RTY, I mean, again, this is a chart that's been strong. We did break this uptrend here, as you guys can see, but we're ultimately still holding demand, right? What did we do? Swept that previous low, made a new low, and we reclaimed, right? That'll be 2,400, which is the level I typed about in the chat tonight. So trading RTY is simple as 2385, okay? Above it, we're likely going to squeeze higher back into 2445, which is where you can watch for that rejection for a move lower. If we lose 2385, you can go short targeting that daily low down here. And that's the nature of this chart, right? Ultimately, we're coming off a big demand. We do have the demand hold. We do have an hourly higher low now. So, you know, it very is possible that we could trade higher off of this higher low, right? That makes the most sense with NQ holding, ES holding, RTY. So, you know, it definitely is tricky though. YM, major trend line support. We can all see that. And we're testing it. So the big question here is does this hold? And the level I want to focus on is 46,600, right? We have these previous all-time highs we failed, and we have this major demand we're holding, and we're opening damn near in the bottom. So again, big question mark here. Are we going to pull back and hold? If so, that's our long opportunity. Are we going to pop back into the supply? If so, failure is our short opportunity. Obvious setup is, hey, if we get below 46,600, that's our continuation. If we get above all-time highs, that's our continuation. So the grand scheme of this week is, what do we do below this lower high? What do we do above this higher low? These are our parameters, and we really need to hyper focus on what happens in between here and here, because that's going to be the next opportunity. Whether that's a daily higher low, we can swing long back into all-time highs, or we get another lower high below this previous structure, and that's our swing for lower. This is where you need to lock in, right? This is where you need to lock in. I preach about charts like this. This is where shit happens, right? Maybe not right this second, but throughout this week into the new year, this is where shit happens, right? We're going to be coming in on this quarterly close. And I mean, just look at this quarterly chart for example, right? This is unsustainable, right? If you're looking at a macro scheme, this is unsustainable, okay? Unsustainable. This type of rip right here is unsustainable. So you think about this market right now as a ticking time bomb, right? Excuse my drawing. It's not going to be the best, but this is a little ticking time bomb here, okay? It's not a matter of when. It's not a matter of if, or excuse me, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, okay? We'll draw a little feet on our buddy here, right? This is just a ticking time bomb. The higher we go, the more explosive this thing is going to get. You can draw some more TNTs next to it, like this if you wanted to, wrap them with a little package and put a little explosive here, and he's going to be carrying them on his backpack. The higher we go, the more dangerous this gets long term, okay? This quarterly chart is not sustainable at all, right? Specifically that time, what was it, a couple months ago, where we seen a move from all-time highs to a bear market. So from point 1 to point 2 was all-time highs to a bear market. And that same quarter, we went back to new all-time highs. So within 3 months, this cycle here we went from all-time highs to a bear market, back to all-time highs, and to new all-time highs. If you don't understand how insane that is, just go back and look at the charts and see if we've done that previously. It hasn't happened, okay? So I say that to say this is, be careful, right? Action has been very favorable lately, right? I mean, you can look at what I like to call mimic setups, right? These are mimic setups, and it happened in trends, right? They happen in trends. Just pay attention to what I'm about to do. Support, turn resistance, significant move lower. Retest, significant move lower. Support, turn resistance, significant move lower. Reclaim, rip, lower high below that structure, created a new structure, head and shoulders, lower high, break of structure, significant move lower. Now look at the chart structure from here. We had a deviation from, obviously, the initial structure where we had a low, swept it, made a new low here, reclaimed and held. This is now a higher low on the hourly. So if you want to be very technical, this is where the market does trade higher as long as we hold this higher low after that macro demand. So you are starting to see that early shape of a potential reversal. Now that can only come into play if we do reclaim that structure, but this still remains to be that big level that we all need to focus on, which was the initial breakdown that broke that low in the first place. Okay. Gold here. Goldilocks. I love this chart. Okay. We have a high, we have a low, we have a lower high, and now we have a low here. This is where opportunity comes about. And what I want to hyper focus here on this chart is right here. If you look at this gold chart, we have a major demand. We can all see that, right? We have a major supply. We can all see that. This is where you want to trade. You're watching for one, pop off of 4,100, failure to go short. That's number one. Number two, you're watching for a pullback in a 40-30, 40-50 for longs. The most obvious setup here is what? Continuation, okay? This is the A+ setup for us this week, okay? Above 4,100, macro demand hold, break, that's that structure reclaim, we squeeze higher. Scenario number two is, for continuation, maybe we reject 4,100, get weak, break 40-30, our move lower is back into 3,900s. So obviously the top watch is the top of the supply, bottom of the supply, with value obviously being here or there. But obviously you want to see this get taken out. All right. And that's what I'm watching there, our gold. What else we got here? Individual names. Individual names, individual names, individual names. Number one, Disney. Disney is getting clapped. Okay? Clapped. A little concerned with my long term, and I'm going to explain why. Look at this on Disney, right? We've been trading in this channel since early 2022, okay? We've held the bottom of the demand. We've held the top of the supply. We're just now rejecting the top of that supply. The likelihood of us testing the bottom of this demand again, I would say, is probably about 70% or higher, right? Coming off of that major supply. So I do think there's going to be some short-term pain here on Disney. And I'm fine with that. I'll just add into it. But I do want to capitalize off of it day trading. Reason being is just look at this chart here. Gap fill 1, gap fill 2 we're sitting in. We just broke this massive structure. Disney is in trouble, okay? So my mindset is, as long as Disney is below that previous gap down from that earnings move, which the top of that is about 110. Long as Disney is below 108, 110, this is my top short watch, targeting that 100 psychological level. We lose 100, we get that gap fill down at a 92. That is the top watch here. Obviously, the ultimate target is down here at 80 to fill that complete imbalance back into that demand. That's the obvious setup. But my top watch is at 110, 108 for that gap fill back down into the 192. All right. Tesla. This is pretty much identical chart to everything we discussed in terms of indices. We have what here on Tesla? We have a major demand. We know that. 2, we have a major supply. Our job is to trade within that or through that. So game plan here on Tesla is we have that previous low here being 400. Okay. This is our big reference. I made this big for a reason because it's the most important on Tesla. Pay attention. Pull back, hold of 400 on Tesla. That's your long opportunity. Pull back, fail 400. That is your short opportunity back down into that daily low from Friday. Tesla does hold that 400, you want to watch this level up here at 415, 420 for a potential rejection back down into 400. If Tesla holds this 400, reclaims 420, this is going back into 460s, potentially even 500. This is where big moves happen, right here, right? Because two things are going to happen here, and that's inevitable. We're either going to, one, pop back into the supply, fail, and then test this demand, or we're going to straight up hold that higher low, reclaim, retest, and that's a move back into highs. Obviously, this chart isn't developed yet. All we have is a structure breakdown. All we have is a demand here. So there is a little bit more work being retesting or retesting, and then we can go from there. But this is the early stage of a massive move, whether it's going to be off of that supply or it's going to be off of that demand. So that's why I'm hyper-focused on Tesla. Next, we have Google. This was a name that essentially outperformed the market on Friday's session, swept that previous week's low. To me, this is a nice buy setup or long setup on the weekly, where we have that daily also, swept that previous structure. Hourly, it's a lot cleaner. We had this major structure here, as you can see. Demand, 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 made a new low, reclaimed, retested, formed that higher low, and we were strong all through the after-hours session. Game plan here on Google is fairly simple. I'm cool being long as we're above 275. Top watch is going to be continuation from that after hours pump above 295 into that 300 level. Above 300, we can snag some new all-time highs. So this is the A+ setup here in terms of relative strength for the week ahead. Microsoft, this is simple as, hey, this is make or break. 492. That's that major daily demand. Here, we have the top of that base being 512. Get down on the hourly, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, and that's a drop base. We have the drop, we have the base. Two things are going to come from this. You guys know. Drop base rally, drop base drop. I want in on either one of them, right? So that drop base rally would come into play if we can get that break and hold above 512, targeting that 522, which was the structure from the initial breakdown, and then we can get back into the 530s. If we can lose that 492 level, this is where Microsoft really starts to sing lower. Could you be higher risk and trade off of the top or the bottom? You could, but I want to see the breakout. Lastly here, we have Apple, essentially the same game plan as Microsoft. Apple has been a tank lately. We're still holding above that all-time high structure, still holding the demand. Market sold off aggressively through last week's session. What did Apple do? It consolidated. And you guys might say, well, Apple's not strong. It just consolidated. This consolidation here is a sign of relative strength. When the overall market is going lower and Apple is holding, that is a sign of relative strength due to it being diverged from the market. Okay? So this is a sign of relative strength, and this could even flip. And if it does flip, the levels to watch are, hey, if Apple fails, gets back below 266, that's your A+ short setup. If Apple continues to hold and you get that relative strength as we've seen previously throughout this area, then we get above 276. That is your long setup back into all-time highs. We could tag the top of that earnings move at 285, and I think the ultimate target here on Apple would be that 300 psychological level sitting up here. Okay, and that's kind of the game plan here, is that base being broken and us taking advantage of it if we can get that opportunity. But yeah, man. Damn, no way we're done already. Are we done? Yeah, we are done. Shit. Said I was going to speed run. I mean, I did what I said I was going to do. All right, let's take a look at a couple more things here. I'll go over a couple of tickers that you guys want me to check out, and then we'll call it a night. All right, let's see what we got here. Do I have anything on Swing Watch? Oil, I did like. Just keeping an eye on this. Reason being is we're down in this demand. I don't know if I love this yet, but I do think this could be a nice opportunity if it holds. We got the demand test, got a potential higher low here. So my mindset on oil is, hey, if we can continue to hold this demand here and start to trade higher, I do think there could be some opportunity there. But I really don't have many swings on watch this week. What do you guys got? MVO. I'll speed run through these. MVO, I mean, this chart is simple as 45, right? This is your major demand, that daily low. This is also the demand from back in 2022. So, I mean, my opinion on MVO is 45, we're above it. That's great. You can probably be long, but if we lose 45, this is going to sink straight back down into 38s. If it gets down to the 38s, I would say that's an A+ long setup. That's pretty much the only thing I got there. Meta, sure, we'll check out. Meta's been very weak as of late. It did hold a major demand Friday session. Your big focus here on Meta is going to be this demand here at 600, 595. This demand's holding. I would say Meta's bullish. If we get back above 620 on Meta, that's where that squeeze risk comes into play back into 635s. If Meta loses these daily lows, 595, this is going to see a lot lower, potentially even low 500s, 550s. NVIDIA, yes, it has earnings on Wednesday, so I will not be discussing NVIDIA until after earnings. Google, we already talked about. SoFi, sure. You guys are obsessed with these fucking names. This is all I got here. Previous resistance held as support. If it's above 23.5, 24.5, it's bullish. If we lose it, stay away. That's all I got to say. XOM, sure. If you type more than once, I'm not going to look at it, so do not spam. XOM. Nice little level here at 120. Looks pretty decent. I would say if we get above 120, that could be a nice move higher. Pretty much the only thing I got there. AVGO and then PLTR, I'm done. AVGO, major demand right here, right now. 324, 330. If we're holding it, that's bullish. Pretty simple. If we lose 325, that's where that gap fill comes into play, and we likely do see lower. PLTR, I mean, this is your demand right here. 163, 170. This is that major demand on PLTR. Same game plan here. Above it, bullish. It loses 163. It's going lower. That's the name of the game for PLTR and where it's currently trading. I would consider this mega bullish at the moment, though. We swept this major demand, as you guys can see here. We made a new low, reclaimed. So your game plan now would be use 170 as your reference. PLTR pulls back into 170. It holds. That's your long entry. If it fails, stay away. So 170 is your big focus point here on PLTR. That actually does look very good, but I still won't trade it. But watch that pullback 170. It holds. That's your long entry. All right, let's speed run these giveaways. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Where are we at? I gotta send giveaway money. I got caught up. All right. First keyword is going to be FST. Good luck, everybody. Good luck, good luck, good luck. Got 30 seconds. Let's see what we got here. I can't wait for the new year, man. 2025 is in the dust. All right, good luck, everybody. Ha did that. Interesting name. Please type in the chat before this gets to 1 minute. Please type in the chat before that gets to 1 minute. Where you at? Where you at? Awesome. Here? Good to go. Nice. Love to see it. Congratulations, my boy. Or my girl. I'm not sure. Sorry. Gotta be careful labeling people the wrong stuff nowadays. Alright. I got about 5-10 minutes. We'll do a quick Q&A before I rock out. Whatever you guys got. Trading, business, entrepreneurship, personal life. I don't give a fuck. Ask it, I'll answer. Whatever you got. Got about 5 minutes. What am I doing the prop challenge? After we finish the 5K account, which we're very close. We're very close to the target. We're very close to the target. We've taken 6 trades. Here, I'll show you guys actually. We've taken 6 trades. Started September 14th. So what? September, October, November. We started 2 months ago. First trade was USO, which we trimmed for 25%. Our first trade was about 25%. Our second trade was VIX, which we trimmed for about 50% here. That was 2 green trades. Then we ended up full selling for about 100%. And then I re-entered VIX again, which was the third trade. Caught about 30% on the first position, 40%. And then our original position, we were up about 55% on the new position. And then re-entered VIX again. So that was the fourth trade. Added into the fourth trade. And then ended up trimming for about 50%. And then, yeah, this was last week, I think. And then we entered Dollar General. Ended up catching about 50% on Dollar General. And yeah, those were all the trades we took. 6 for 6. Haven't taken a single loss yet. Started with 5K. Right now we're sitting at about 7,500, so a little bit over 60% on the overall account. And yeah, man, we're cruising. 10K, I told you guys what I'm going to do. Once we get to 10K, I'm going to withdraw 5K, and I'm going to full send it. Why grow min are you on an X? It's a beautiful thing called ego. I seen what you're talking about as well. It's an ego thing, right? That's all it is at the end of the day. Any new merch? Yeah, Dom's always cooking something. But yeah, man, you know, it's an ego thing. Crypto, stocks. If you want to be honest, right? If you want to hear my opinion on it, one's not better than the other. What's best for you is best for you. What's best for you might not be best for someone else, right? At the end of the day, what matters is the percent return when you're talking about long term. Whether you bought Bitcoin at $1 or you bought Nvidia at 60 cents pre-split, right? What matters is percent return. Nvidia performed just as good as Bitcoin. Bitcoin performed, you know, just as good as Nvidia, if not more. You know, so, you know, what I would say is use any type of long-term, being crypto, stocks, as a vehicle to feed your generational wealth. Meaning, make money, make that money work for you, put that money long-term, let it sit, flip, rinse, and repeat. You know, whether you use crypto, whether you use stocks, I don't think you can go wrong either way. I don't think you should just solely focus on one. I do think that you should diversify and have your, you know, eggs spread across the basket. You know what I mean? You don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. You want to kind of spread it out. You know? That's about it. But, you know, 2 people arguing about 2 great vehicles that are used for long term is I mean, in my opinion, you're comparing apples to oranges, right? One person made 8 figures off of a high conviction, essential full port, right? You got to respect that. The other person made 8 figures from selling a course and scheming and scamming. So, I mean, you got to respect the person who went all in on what they believed in. And, yeah, you know what I mean? So, I mean, that's my opinion. Right? Anybody who gets money, I respect, but you know that's the big thing. It doesn't matter how you got money. If you made 8 figures, you made 8 figures. You know how you did it is whatever. You know what I mean? It'd be dope if it was morale, right? You made it the right way, you know. But yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, people with the little man complex are going to do little man complex things, you know? Trading Forex? Never. Why would I trade on an unregulated brokerage? That makes no sense. When I can trade on a regulated brokerage. If I was from, you know, a different country and I had no choice, then sure, I would trade on an unregulated brokerage. But I have the choice to trade on a great brokerage, so that's what I'm going to do. Which brings up my next argument. Anybody who trades Forex in the United States, there's no excuse. They're a fraud. If you trade futures and you say, oh, Forex, bro, you got to pay for swap fees. You got to deal with spreads. It is counterintuitive to trade futures through Forex if you have the ability to use a regulated brokerage that gives you advantageous fills, and you know everything is safe, backed, FDIC insured, and your money's golden, right? Any other excuse is fraud. Fraud. Yeah, OXX. That's a prime example. That's what you call a narcissist, a person that always wants to be in the spotlight, a person that always wants to be right. That is what you are dealing with. A person that sat at the lunch table by themselves in school, got money, think they're cool, and now that's how they live their life. Everybody around them's a yes man, so it boosts their ego. They get online with that same ego, and then they meet someone of the same caliber or bigger than they are, and they don't know how to deal with it, right? There's always a bigger fish. There's always someone bigger. There's always someone badder. So, people that live like that are narcissistic and have that big ego-driven lifestyle, they tend to have a hard time navigating through life because it's always a brick wall, right? They're always finding someone that is bigger than them, and then they got to challenge them, and then, how it goes. Then their ego gets hurt, and then it kind of, you know how it works. It's just the way it goes, man. That's why I just stay in my lane, mind my business, and keep it pushing. Keep it pushing. It's trade day. I heard they're pretty decent. Never used them though. What I can say though is 2026 is going to be a great year. Yeah, Bitcoin is a big rabbit hole, man. You can go pretty deep. You can go really, really deep in the Bitcoin rabbit hole. I'm a very, very early adopter, but I mean, what does that really mean? If I go on fucking X and post that I traded a party hat for fucking $600 worth of Bitcoin back in 2008, what does that get me? Right? It doesn't do anything. I had almost 7, 8, 9, 10 Bitcoin back then, and it was only worth $5,000. Now it's worth, fucking $1 million. So what? It doesn't do anything for anybody. At that point, you're just saying, pick me. Right? You're being a pick me. But, yeah, man, any last minute questions? I'm going to go ahead and rock out of here. Think about it like this. Anybody who's getting real money, right? I'm going to explain something to you guys. If I want to send a wire for $100,000, can I send it right now? No, I can't. And if I do want to send it tomorrow, you know what I got to do? I got to get my car. I got to go on my phone. I got to call the bank. I got to get it approved. Anybody who's getting real money, Bitcoin is their choice of storage and actual transactional experience between anything. Why? I can hop on my phone right now. I can send $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $10 million in a matter of 30 minutes. Okay, if you send it via USDT on the Ethereum network or use USDC, a stable coin, I can send $5, $10, $20 million in a matter of 10 minutes, right? All they're going to have is a transaction ID linked back to no one, right? So, and plus you can use shell holdings and you can do everything in between to make it even more untraceable, right? So, anybody who's getting real money, they know that Bitcoin is the way in terms of storage and just having the accessibility, right? God forbid anything happened and you needed, to get X amount of money and the banks were closed, you'd be fucked. But a person with Bitcoin would be fine. So that's why, everybody, it's great to own Bitcoin, right? At the current levels, I mean, sure, is there upside potential? Sure, right? But you definitely want to get in on a dip, Bitcoin's something where you just set up a weekly buy or a monthly buy, whatever you can afford, and you go from there, That's pretty much it. Yeah, a lot of people are what you call influencers. They're not traders, they're influencers. There's people that trade, and there's people that do the influencing, right? I mean, it's pretty easy to tell between the difference of the two, right? Pretty easy. But, yeah, man. Appreciate every single one of you guys for taking time out of your Sunday, as always, man. I'll see majority of you guys bright and early in the morning for live trading. Yeah, man. Let's get it. You guys know the vibes. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. I will see you guys first thing in the morning. Peace, y'all.